Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody to Dan and Mikey's Christmas special. I know we're going to have a great time tonight. Thank you to everyone for coming out. Oh my goodness.
Toward the beginning of the century, income inequality was at record levels, and people were working with no end to please an industrial capitalist system. Disease was rampant. People didn't believe in celebrating Christmas anymore, crushed under the boot of a never-satiated thirst for wealth and power.
Dan, this is a little too real. This was supposed to be a fun Christmas thing.
No, you silly goose. I'm talking about the 19th century Dickensian restoration of the Christmas spirit, of course. England had long since stopped celebrating the holiday nuptials before he came along.
Is nuptials the right word here?
Charles Dickens was 9 in 1824. His father had just been arrested and taken to debtor's prison, a real thing that existed when the people of England were ravenous for paid labor to support their starving families.
Please stop sounding so excited when you say this stuff.
No! In 1843, Dickens wrote a novella in 6 weeks. It was called A Christmas Carol, and was driven by Dickens' considerable indifference to religion as a whole. Old Chuck Dickens wanted people to believe in people again. By 1844, it was everywhere, and people were paying attention. This book literally made people start treating each other better. Some reviewers called it a gospel. It made 19th century England a more hospitable place and restored people's belief in the value of Christmas.
That was a beautiful story, Dan. Thank you for telling that.
And then Coca-Cola came along 88 years later and made Christmas a brand.
Dan, I thought we were going to talk about movies.
Okay. Did you know Jingle All the Way 2 starred Larry the Cable Guy?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, we tried, everyone. I've known Dan Olson for a few years now. Historically, putting us in the same room is an invitation to end whatever conversation you are having. We'll just talk about movies endlessly. Every Zoom call we've had to set up this collaboration over the last month has had us derailing continuously because Dan and I just want to talk about the infinitely complex ecosystem that creates and sometimes profits from movies. So when Dan shot me a message akin to, "Do you want to overthink Christmas movies with me?" it was an easy yes. We also agree philosophically on what we're doing here. This is a fun, cheery distraction at the end of a very rough year. And as you saw in Dan's half of our experiment, or you should click right here and watch Dan's half of our experiment, it is impossible to openly attempt to identify Christmas movies in a way that people will accept as gospel truth. Or, in other words, we're a long way from Charles Dickens. There is no and can be no accepted taxonomy for Christmas movies. You are arguing with a wall. So I chose a different approach. I didn't want a binary switch that spit out Christmas movie or not Christmas movie, as people are quite likely to do that on their own. I wanted a number. I wanted to know how Christmas something was. I wanted a system. And then the game designer half of my brain, with lots of input from Dan along the way, came up with the
Christmas system.
An acronym I never defined that I just thought that sounded cool. Look! It is reverse engineered from what people seem to relate to and what makes something a Christmas movie. This is either subjectively objective or objectively subjective. Potato, potato. Words don't mean anything. The form I used to score this is in the description down below, so you as well can arbitrarily determine with rigorous debate with those around you how Christmas is your favorite movie. The scoring system is a little complex and broken down into 7 parts, so I'll explain them now. Let's go! Section 1. Christmas aesthetics. Award 1 to 20 points for how much Christmas ornamentation is present in the film. Aesthetics is used to denote both the Christmas decorations that are visually on display, but also Christmas music, etc. Think of this also as a saturation of Christmas stuff. A 20 means that the film is beginning to end, every scene is Christmas, which is a bar that not many have passed in my experience. Section 2, Plot Necessity. Award 1 to 20 points for how much the film's plotline ties directly into the celebration of Christmas. A lot might happen in the plot of a Christmas movie and it might not all be Christmas related. How much Christmas is present in the fabric of the plot? Fairly self-explanatory. Section 3, Family Drama. Award 1 to 20 points for the amount of extended family that appear in the film that do not see eye to eye with the protagonist or their family. I leave the interpretation of what is or is not family up to you. I made my own assertions in the scoring. A 20 means that all family members are actively working against the protagonist fulfilling their goals. And after the first 3 sections, which are worth anywhere from 1 to 20 points each, the last 4 sections are a binary checklist that can earn a movie 10 points per checked blank, and 0 points if not. All or nothing, baby! They are as follows. Section 4. Award 10 points if at least one character gains or regains their belief in Christmas figures. The easiest way to think about this prompt is to call it the Jesus or Santa question. Does a character gain or regain a belief in a Christmas figure who very well may be Mary or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? More often than not, by a long shot, it was Jesus or Santa in practice. Section 5. Award 10 points if the climax of the film is directly on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Section 6. Award 10 points if at least one character overcomes unnatural hardship to accomplish their goals. Unnatural hardship are the key words here. Unnatural means that it is unnatural to the character in the world or laws they inhabit. It has to be hardship that the character is not used to experiencing. And Section 7. Award 10 points if at least one character learns the true meaning of Christmas. The true meaning of Christmas is the true meaning within the universe you are in. The meaning of Christmas is not the same from film to film. Each film defines its own meaning of Christmas. Generally, this is a scene where the protagonist has an epiphany not to abuse and mistreat people, because Christmas movies are weird. Just create criteria and judge within those criteria in an impossibly unforgiving way with Christmas tropes that no single movie could possibly deliver on the entire list. Or so I thought. I know that is kind of a lot to take in, but it will become more clear as we start rating the movies.
Alright? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
I watched a whole lot of movies, but this is a designed cross-section of Christmas movies of all types, but at the end of the day, I wanted to crown a Christmas movie champion, so that's what we're gonna do. The Christmas court is now in session. Additionally, the court understands if your personal results at home do not line up with what you see here. This doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I just watched a bunch of movies that people seem to like. You may be seated. Will the first movie approach the bench? Our first movie is Brazil. Obviously not everyone's choice for a Christmas movie, but Brazil definitely is a movie that takes place at Christmas and wants you to know about it. There's some family drama, a bit of Christmas ornamentation, and it does arguably climax on Christmas Eve or Christmas, because whatever level of consciousness or reality the plot is taking place on, it is still the film's climax. Brazil came in at the bottom of my list with a still respectable score of 27 Christmas points. Shockingly, right in front of Brazil is Frosty the Snowman. It scored well on aesthetics and plot necessity, but managed only to check climaxes on Christmas in the lower section. A movie so devoid of any disagreement that the plot is mostly just a bunch of people agreeing, and the biggest challenge was someone melting, but just kidding, they're fine. 41 Christmas points. I wanted Shane Black represented on this list at least a couple of times, and the question, is Iron Man 3 a Christmas movie, resonated with both Dan and me. There are a few aesthetic touches, but nothing in the plot is really about the celebration of Christmas. Hilariously, within the plot, it has more to do with New Year's than Christmas. We went ahead and agreed to a checkmark for learns the meaning of Christmas, as Tony does come around, reaching an epiphany where he blows up all of his Iron Man costumes and retires from the superhero life. We, the court, deemed the fact that Tony does not stick to that decision in further movies immaterial. He did learn his meaning of Christmas, at least for a moment. 43 Christmas points. Also, you've probably noticed the hashes at the bottom of some of these sheets. Those are me counting the number of dead bodies created in the movie. It was funny to me that so many Christmas movies have body counts, some of them quite egregious. Moving on. This one might appear as a shock at first. It scored very high in the aesthetics category and did good in the plot necessity and family drama ones, but went on to do fairly poorly in the lower categories, earning only the climaxes on Christmas checkmark. No one gains a belief or endures unnatural hardship. Also, it's weirdly a movie where a child obsesses endlessly about growing up and taking advantage of stand your ground laws, which is pretty weird. Still a good showing from A Christmas Story. 48 Christmas points. This film has a family storyline that is supportive and loving, though what Billy Peltzer and the other characters endure definitely qualifies as unnatural hardship. This film garnered 48 Christmas points as well. Also, the gremlin caroling scene is adorable. This is arguably a great Christmas movie, but being a story about a lot of things prevents it from scoring too high. It could have scored a little higher, as we had to have a theological argument about George Bailey regaining faith in God and angels, but not necessarily Jesus for the Jesus or Santa question. Suffers in the top a bit because it has to recap George's entire life before we get to the Christmas climax, which checks 3 of the lower boxes. Technically, this movie has a body count of -2 because George gets 2 people unkilled by simply existing. Bravo, George, 49 Christmas points. This was far and away the hardest watching experience for my partner and I to sit through. At one point in the movie, she turned to me and said, "This is the worst movie I've ever watched with you." And we've watched quite a few movies. Fair play. On the surface, Polar Express seems like the most Christmas movie ever until it gets bored and starts just doing whatever it wants, like skiing on top of trains going downhill. Look, this movie makes a lot of, we'll call them choices, scoring exceptionally well in the lower section, but faltering up top, especially in the family drama category where there is none. The Polar Express earned an entirely respectable 58 Christmas points. Okay, and now for the movie that you've definitely all been waiting for. At long last, we have come to the quintessential Christmas movie argument film. Die Hard came with many surprises while watching it under the grading system. In fact, John does have an epiphany in the bathroom, confessing that he's a jerk and he's not treated his wife fairly and he messed everything up.
I'm gonna find my wife. Don't ask me how, by then you'll know how. I want you to tell her something. I want you to tell her that, tell her it took me a while to figure out, what a jerk I've been. That when things started to pan out for her, I just should have been behind her more.
He had that realization as a result of Christmas. It doesn't fare great in the family drama category, as his kids love him and his ex-ish wife is practical and reasonable with him. Die Hard scored 59, which is very respectable and, to me, indubitably a Christmas film. It's more of a Christmas movie than Frosty the Snowman. Yeah, I said it and I brought math to back it up. Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but so is a movie I didn't really even know existed, but it was on Netflix and I'm very glad I watched it. Solid numbers down the page and a really warm reimagining of the Santa lore. It doesn't score higher because this movie is about a lot more things than Christmas, sort of despite being about Santa in a roundabout way. Seeing 2D animation in a feature film again was a delight. Nintendo 64 Christmas points. To Klaus. Quite the body count, but hey, Shane Black. I love this movie, and I can't believe how long it's been since I made that old Long Kiss Goodnight episode. Average numbers in the high categories because Samantha Cain's family is generally quite supportive. No one gains a belief in a Christmas figure, but overall a strong showing. Nintendo 64 points as well to Long Kiss Goodnight, and 100 Christmas points for everything Samuel L. Jackson wears in this film. Linus delivers a sermon in this movie, but it does gain or regain characters' belief in a Christmas figure. Good marks all around, and a perfect 20 in plot necessity as the entire story is dictated by Christmas and its machinations. It also has one of the most absolutely indispensable Christmas soundtracks. Charlie Brown Came to Hang, 66 Christmas points. I made a bet with Dan early on that Christmas Carol movies would dominate this competition, but I had not entirely thought that one through.
To spread the news about peace and to keep love alive.
It purposely does not mention Jesus. It was also written before any modern understanding of Santa Claus, so the Jesus or Santa question is kind of a bust. Also, Scrooge does not endure unnatural hardship because although being haunted by ghosts is without question unnatural, old Ebenezer does not actually endure hardship as a result of this. Ghosts just fly him around and tell him repeatedly not to be a dick anymore. He really got off kinda easy. Perfect 20 in plot necessity and an 18 in aesthetic that, well, let's be honest, Dickensian imagery basically invented. 68 Christmas points to the only Christmas Carol on my list, and the best one! The judging of this movie was far and away the most dramatic. There are 3 separate asterisks on my score sheet, the first being the perfect 20 in plot necessity, which is not to say that everything that happens in this movie is related to Christmas, because it isn't. It's that so little of this movie revolves around its core plot of 2 men sitting in a car and arguing about the meaning of Christmas that plot-wise, the statement is perfectly true. Like that random conspiracy theory scene.
3 words. War on Christmas.
Are you okay, Kirk? Asterisk 2. A character regains a belief in a Christmas figure. This one cracked me up. I figured this movie would revolve around its very Jesus rules message, and no character would have their belief in religious figures tested, and they don't. However, the brother-in-law has doubts about Santa, and Kirk Cameron tells him the beautiful, timeless story of how actually, Santa was really a murdering psychopath. And he's immediately on board with Murder Santa.
Santa is the man.
Asterisk 3. A character learns the true meaning of Christmas, and in this movie, the true meaning of Christmas is capitalism, which a character does learn and come to an epiphany about. This movie did so much better than I thought it would and absolutely proved the elasticity of the Christmas system. 71 Christmas points and well earned with well outside the box thinking, Kirk. Murder Santa? Wow. Jingle All the Way is a strange slapstick kind of film where the tone never quite lines up. It scored very high in the top section, bathing most of the movie's runtime in Christmas cheer in every scene. The plot also revolves entirely around Christmas as Arnold is trying to get an action figure for his child. As for judging, Arnold did not experience hardship unnatural to his character because he is a sleazy business executive who is very quick to punch people in the face. Oh my god. I think some of your hardship is your fault, my dude. It is his own son that learns the true meaning of Christmas, giving away the special edition Turbo Man action figure that his father committed an egregious number of felonies to procure. It's definitely turbo time. 73 Christmas points. What a delightful film to revisit. Huge showings on the top section and a perfect run on the lower section. My favorite note is that Jack's kidnapping of Santa Claus leads to Jack's belief in Santa Claus. It got a 2 instead of a 1 in family drama because of the whole Sally and her creator thing, so take of that what you will. But a strong showing elsewhere with a total of 74 Christmas points. And from here on in, we're looking at the Christmas movie elite. Starting with... I thought Christmas Vacation was going to take the top spot for a moment, but it did not earn a checkmark in Unnatural Hardship. There was debate here because all manner of wild shit happens, but within the spirit of the game, Clark Griswold does not encounter hardship that is unnatural to him when taken in the context of the other vacation movies. A silly John Hughes scripted classic, all the same, Christmas Vacation holds it down with a score of 80 Christmas points and a subscription into the Jelly of the Month Club. Another incredibly strong showing that could have run away with the whole thing is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It only had one obvious shortcoming in scoring. No one in Rudolph's story learns the true meaning of Christmas, which is kind of an odd thing to experience as an adult. No one ever atones for the shit they did to Rudolph.
Not you! You better go home with your folks!
Endlessly abused for his, I'm sorry to use this word so flippantly, disability. Though in the context of the film, that is exactly what it is. Rudolph could have been the chosen one, but alas, it ended with a still mighty respectable 80 Christmas points. A heck of a showing from the Crimson Schnozzle. Another strong showing that I thought was going to be the highest earner in an incredibly difficult system to earn points from. I was consistently surprised by these results. It's clear from frame 1 of this movie how much Christmas this movie is going to shovel into your nog gobbler. The McAllister house is Christmas through and through. There's Christmas wallpaper, the beds are decorated like Christmas, practically every shot has something to do with Christmas. John Williams delivers a score that should be required listening on any Christmas playlist. The family drama is through the roof as Kevin is verbally abused constantly and absolutely no one in his family would like him to experience anything but bottomless despair. The only category it didn't dominate in was a character gaining or regaining a belief in a Christmas figure. And that is even brought up, but no one ultimately walks away with a new or newly rebuilt belief in either Jesus or Santa. Home Alone has Christmas oozing out of its entire runtime. 88 Christmas points awarded and second place in my arbitrarily chosen list of Christmas movies. Home Alone is as Christmas as they come. Almost. Which brings us to the Christmas movie champion, Elf. I remember when Elf originally came out and how little I wanted to see this movie. It was kind of the height of Will Ferrell overexposure. I absolutely did not give it a single thought when we were putting together the criteria for this silly Christmas experiment. There is an annoying amount of Christmas in this movie. Will Ferrell is literally dressed like an elf from Rudolph. So there's something Christmas on screen for the entire runtime. People regain their belief in Santa in a pretty powerful way. There's family drama happening on the real human level and also on the fantastical North Pole level. Buddy endures unnatural hardship as a complete and total fish out of water. This is not his normal. Elf hits every branch on the way down the Christmas tree. In point of fact, it scored 99 Christmas points. Elf does have a few shots of business people being very sad about being business people, so that's the reason for the single point deduction. It's also a legitimately sweet movie that asks its audience to look inside themselves and find a better person than the one we give the world sometimes. We have crowned an arbitrary Christmas movie champion, and our time is now coming to a close. All that's really left to do is I needed this. It was nice to pop my head out of the video essay wind tunnel and invent ludicrous means to dissect and overanalyze movies again, for no other purpose than to have a little seasonal fun at the end of a very tough year. It also taught me a lot. It taught me that I can organize Christmas movie lists by body count, so that's a thing. It also taught me that you can reverse engineer movie tropes into a scoring system. I found out you can watch 30 Christmas movies in half a week and go into withdrawal when you watch other movies again. When Dan and I first started brainstorming this, he talked a lot about the ritual of Christmas movies. We repeat that which makes us most comfortable. I think now is a great time for movies to be comfortable. In the absence of family and friends, perhaps it's the best time. Can we truly ever reach a verdict on Christmas movies? No, we can't.
We repeat that which makes us most comfortable.
Like I said, the form is in the description below so you too can score Christmas movies on how Christmas they are. Oddly, my strongest urge right now is to watch Spring Breakers with a glass of cider. At the end of the day, any movie can be Christmassy, and it's kinda silly to try to take that away from people. Damn, I think Dan turned me into a candy cane radical. Maybe Spring Breakers really is a Christmas movie.
Yes! My years-long con to convince Mikey that Spring Breakers is a Christmas movie has paid off!
From all of us at Folding Ideas and FilmJoy, we wish you the happiest of holidays. Court is adjourned. Be safe out there. Hello, welcome to the credits. It's still me. Say hi to Topher, or Sydney, or Adam, or Andre, or Jesus, or Eric Hamilton Schneider from Eric Hamilton Schneider Chevrolet. Happy holidays to everyone. We hope you enjoyed our goofy little Christmas special, which we put together in a shockingly small amount of time. Thank you to everyone that supports the channel. Thank you to all the new supporters of the channel. Hopefully there's some new eyes on this. Hello, enjoy your stay. Have a good time. Say hi to Matt Charles, or Girish Menon, or Stephen Hillman, or Kelly Naylor, or Adam Thomas, or Sean Boyce Walrus, Adam Muto, Kevin Hochter, Andrew Hacker, Brett Brizzy, Chris Hinosa, and Jacob Koziel, and can't forget Lord Hosk. See you next year.